Hello everyone. Hello. Welcome back to the Great Estani Chronicles. So, once again we find... Oh well, not once again, but we are going back in the past and meet with Natsume-san again for some other mysterious case of murder. Yeah, so many murders. What's with that? What's up with that? Everyone is dying all around. So we just arrived and we had to talk to Gregson in order to be able to look around. I was wondering, is that a castle? It's kind of weird. Oh, so Inspector, what's the victim's name? What was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William Shamspeare. Shamspeare, really? It is a sham. He was a lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. Bit of a dead loss, as it happens. Or just dead. Oh, Mr. Shakespeare. It was a landlord, old Mr. Gardeb, on the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Gardeb got worried and kicked the door down. Wait, what? If you don't wake up, he kicks the door down? But doesn't Mr. Gardeb have a bad leg? Oh yeah, you're right there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. This guy? Wait, what? Natsume? Kicked the door? Really? Soseki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Miserable life, and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation. No, he's not involved in the investigation. So, shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious, but I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the the cohabitor. Gregson doesn't like Japanese people, really. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. Natsume-san appears to be under suspicion again. It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Oh man, how unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroners get here. But I don't think the fellow's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Oh, even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. Okay, we should check around. Dr. Natsume? Soseki-san. What a terrible thing to have happened. Oh, it's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences. So the victim lived here? on the ground floor. And your room is just one story up, isn't it? Story? Story? Oh yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So, did you know the victim? Are you friends? Oh, what's up? What's going on? What's the matter with Sasaki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Literally shaken. Oh, well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never. Mayana, I swear it. What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Miss Naruto-san? When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Throw that inspector over there. Wait, what? What is he doing here? What's he doing over there? What is with the pose? Mr. Sholmes? What are you doing? Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. He's got a gun. I didn't realize he had a gun. Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam. Patience. We've not been here in this room for 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. This man is dead. My goodness. But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night, in which the victim fought for his life. Matsume-san? What's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. What? And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. Nonsense! Huh. Why are they zoomed like that? Alright, Natsume-san. Why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? That's not suspicious at all. No, please. Pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. Oh, you must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no details. But of course. Let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. Oh, we've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? Is he being sarcastic? So, my dear fellows, for delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes, logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1. It's been a while. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Cause of death. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Okay, well, I didn't know that. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, one half of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful. Indubitably. Did he eat the soap? Why is this soap set so purposefully upon the dish, like the victim's last supper? In fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The fork reveals the answer. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Foul poison? Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the content of the plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestions of foul soap. Though, personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. Oh, not well at all. Conclusion, poisoning from soap ingestion. Okay. Suicide or murder? The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine or die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. No. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the soul key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, who from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end, in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. No possible perpetrator present. Okay. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' Great Deduction. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. How extraordinary. In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? Oh, my dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. Oh, and did it? I writhed in agony on the floor and spilled the contents of my stomach. Yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Oh, believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. Oh, there's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. Natsume-san. Ah! I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eyes. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' seductions touched a nerve somehow. Nonsense! Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. Oh, I think, judging by Natsume-san's reactions, the great detective's deduction may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the accurate truth. Oh yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Oh yes, we must speak out the keywords in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant detections and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes, Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Hold it! Cause of death. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicate the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is this soap set up so purposefully upon the dish, like the victim's last supper? In fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Well, you can't deny that fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something. Oh yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I would prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks. Oh yeah, well, that's for sure. Oh, and of course, only half the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap? Could it be that the man... This is the only thing we can look at. Do you think he was drinking tea with his soap? Oh, the cup's empty, so there's no way of knowing. Ah, how about this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water. And he was dissolving soap so he could gulp as much down as possible? Oh, please remember that he may not actually have been the soap lover that he's been made out to be. I suppose you did soap with a fork, would you? I don't think it's a question of which implement you use. You shouldn't eat soap, full stop. But then why? Why does the man have a fork in his hand? Oh dear, I understand your frustration, Naruto-san, but please, don't take it out on me. The point is, if we decide the man used his fork to eat the soap, we wouldn't be changing Mr. Sholmes' deduction. So we really ought to consider some other clues. Other clues? Oh, the soap is over there. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shakespeare must really have loved the stuff. Let's not jump to conclusion, Naruto-san. Look closely at this soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How can that be? I think that there are two halves of the same bar that broke apart.
Take that!
Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The other piece of soap reveals the answer. Oh, it being the other half of the soap on the table? In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depth of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the content of the plate. Oh, Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. Really? Poisonous soap? But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? If the victim didn't eat the soap, then what did he eat? What did he eat? Oh yes, it's a real mystery, isn't it? Ah, I've got it! He wasn't interested in eating the soap at all. It was his fork he wanted to satisfy his hunger with. Naruhodo-san. I really don't think it's helpful to continue with this line of reasoning that the gentleman had peculiar tastes. Oh, Sato-san has such a gentle way with words, but I know when I've been told off. The contents of the plate. It's just the soap again, isn't it? Oh well, you know there's a saying in Japanese, don't you? If your food is poisoned, you might as well eat it plate and all. Wait, what? What does it mean? What? Well, there's an image. All I can picture now is the victim first taking a bite of the soap and then the plate. The soap like some tofu and the plate like a giant rice cracker. Oh dear, that sounds like a very bland combination. Teacup? Did you drink some poison tea? Yes, a Western vessel for the serving of infusions and dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Naruhodo-san, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. What? And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. Might not exactly. Okay, so it's only the tea then. There's nothing else. No.
Take that!
Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed! Cup have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Poison in the tea. Okay. Suicide or murder? The cause of death identified. We proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's Last Supper. Did the man dine and die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Oh yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Natsume-san's reaction. Is Mr. Natsume-san's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Oh. It's another Western vessel. It's a teacup. And it's empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is a cup from which Mr. Shakespeare was actually drinking. But If that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. Yes, I know exactly how you feel. Oh dear.
Take that!
Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Ah. In other words, this is a strong indication that the victim's supper there was a guest present. At the very least, we can now say with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. To draw conclusions on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Oh, do you mean to say you know exactly who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Well, I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. Well, I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was in here last night, when the victim passed away, is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth. Naruhodo-san. Oh no, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Oh, it's empty. Empty of liquid, but full of air. What? Why is he... That makes you think, doesn't it? Might make me think that you're full of hot hair. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time. Well said, Suto-san. Suto-san. Oh, bother. Suto-san's quippy response was cleverer than my original riddle. At first glance, it seems that the only thing in this room that the makeshift stage are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read: The Picture of Monsieur de Coq, Canterbury Yearning, and A Meal for Gaboyo. Wait. I'm sure I've heard those titles before. Oh, it could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. Suzuki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them. That's right. And now those 3 titles are here, in the room of the victim. Yet, Natsume-san claims he's never to have been here before. What? What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. Pile of familiar books. Candle? Even Mr. Shamspeare didn't eat candles, it seems. We've already established that he didn't eat soap either. Ah, do you think perhaps the guest brought this candle here last night? If he or she did, does it reveal anything about the guest's identity? Good point. There goes my idea. Sniffed out like that candle will be. If you saw it deeply, Naruhodo-san, you're in danger of blowing out the flame. Oh, it's the books, sadly.
Take that!
Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is a pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Natsume-san, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence. In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. Oh, god damn it, he's shaking so hard. It's gonna bring down the building. No, never, non-negotiable. If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Having purchased the book 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in his room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Sasaki Natsume. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' great detection. Sasaki Natsume at the scene. No. Oh, give me a sec. Not again, not again, not again. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume, it would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard again. But wait. Hold your horses. Yes? Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. He's so flustered. He's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? You live in the same building after all. You'd had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But... Misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Moustache. Ah, you horrible Sherlock Holmes. He really has found himself a narc rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, you don't no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Welcome, student Mr. Naruto Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me. Please, please, I'm innocent. Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yeah? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me. Oh, that's when we met with Wahagai. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, Sasaki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in the case of murder. With so many murders on this guy. Thanks to incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Ah, yes, that's right. And of course. What? Have you forgotten that what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Gaiden, who discovered Mr. Shamspeare. Ah, Mr. John Gaiden, yes. I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor, as usual. Right. We must remember to go and talk to him later, then. Okay. Oh man, I'm that tired. As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay. What strange thing they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in a property. It's extraordinary. Oh, it's heartbreaking to think the poor are having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh. What is it, Sato-san? If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose. Really? Oh man. Wait, more soap? Oh yeah. It looks as though another has broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shamspeare who did it? I wonder. being the lodger renting this room. Huh? Look at this, Naruto-san. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it. Wait, it's the ground floor. I mean, is there soap? What, outside? Look at these extravagant, bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room with its grim, shady goings on. Shady goings on? What? Oh, this one looks like a king's attire. A king? I've always dreamt of being a king. Oh, I think it'd be more suited to a feudal lord. A daimyo or such like. With chonmage top knot? With a chonmage top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a chonmage. Oh, you'd look wonderful with one. And you already have a sword. Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a chonmage and a sword? But it's so cold outside. You can feel it through this cap. It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on the ledge outside the window? Oh, I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here, at this soap. Ah! Do you see? Oh, do you see? In the middle there? There's a patch. That's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. Oh, it looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? And what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? The bar of soap has been entered into the court record. A cheap bar of soap that was discovered just outside Mr. Shakespeare's window. It's one of two that were found there. We have to look at that. What's that? This part is a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it? Oh, I trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special. Oh, I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is rather expensive soap. That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to. Is that the only thing? That's weird. I want to remove that part, but I think we can't. Oh, there's not much on these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked. Oh yes, not my shoes, are they? Oh. What's the matter? Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all. Oh, it's true, the Reaper. Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks? Yes. He's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking, it's a waste, and that he should donate some to the needy. Oh, you can suggest it next time we meet. Hey, there's something on the floor. Oh, what's this? It looks like part of an envelope, I think. Oh yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? Ah, she's right. And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. Oh, I agree. We'd better take this just in case. The torn off end of envelope has been entered into the court record. Let's look at the man. Oh, the poor man. So young to die. Do you suppose it was a very painful death, being poisoned as he was? I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn in a better life. Oh yes, I suppose you're right. Oh, I wonder. Do you think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul? Sorry, what? Oh, I made sure I had a reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. What? You planned for the murder of someone? Oh, this book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. Really? There's a guide for that? Oh, I'll just reread it now. One moment. There's quite a spine in that book, isn't there? Okay, just gonna read it for a while. What's that? This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? What are the audiences, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances? Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Naruhodo-san, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office. What? Then you could practice your art every single day. I'll think about it. If you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge. Oh well, if that would help, you achieve your goal. Oh, this I have to see. Really is like a game for you know, children, because otherwise it can kind of sound kinky. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall. Oh, gas lights. A gas stove? London really is a city of gas. Oh, but now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Gardev had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they? Oh yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there. Well, I much prefer a real life fire anyway. It's so much cozier. Oh, look at that. Have we seen everything? I know. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a metal of some kind. Oh, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas and they use it with coins. Ah, I see. Oh yes, now you've pointed it out. I can see that there's a slot just here that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean, if you put a coin in here... Oh, that's right. That would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating. So, if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold? Oh, yes. Or, if you were a scatterbrain with no change, because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Oh, thank goodness there's no meter in our office. I think we've seen everything. Right, road, Garrett room, prison. You know what? I'm gonna stop here for tonight because I'm getting tired. Yeah, I don't know. I can't seem to sleep well those days. It's kind of weird. But we'll continue that another day. Maybe not tomorrow night, but probably Wednesday. Anyway, thanks for being here with me tonight. As usual, please take care and stay safe, and I hope to see you soon.